water.
Scottie B going to work in the paint.
Eastern Conference Final. New NBA champion. And it's a team from Toronto, Canada. We, the North, are now we, the champions.
What is going on, Raptors Nation? It is Luca here, back with the Raptors Nation podcast on this Thursday, March 14th. It is a rainy Thursday, March 14th, if you are in the Toronto and surrounding areas. It's been rainy for the Toronto Raptors as of late. This is a team that has lost 5 games in a row, 7 of their last 8. And in today's pod, I'm going to be talking about what the Raptors are inadvertently trying to do. Scottie Barnes did provide an update for the first time since his hand injury. I'll take a look at what Barnes had to say. And then I'm going to look ahead to Immanuel Quickley's next contract, as Quickley is a restricted free agent. We'll take a look at what that number could be. Before we continue, do me a solid, everybody. Hit a like on the video, and also please subscribe to the channel for more over here on the Raptors Nation YouTube channel. You guys have been awesome with the support on this channel as we continue to grow. Also, you can find this podcast wherever you get your podcasts, Apple, iTunes, Spotify. Be sure to leave us a 5-star review. That would be great. And for daily articles, you can check out raptorsnation.com. We're populating the site with a lot of great content, myself and a team of writers. So you definitely don't want to miss out on what we got in store for all of you, both on raptorsnation.com and over here on the Raptors Nation YouTube channel. So without further ado, let's get into this thing. And although the Raptors aren't going to quite admit it, as just a few short weeks ago, Darko Rajakovic did specify that the Raptors were focused on getting into the play-in and focused on winning, things are different this time around. As since the Raptors have suffered a ton of injuries, notable injuries to Scottie Barnes, he is out indefinitely. Likely he will not be back for the rest of the season. Jakob Poeltl then goes down. He has surgery. He is out indefinitely. And the Raptors have just had a long laundry list of injuries ever since. It seems like every single game that they play in now, they are severely shorthanded. So they're going to be in tough in many of these games. And it's going to be tough for the Raptors to win these games. As we saw in their latest defeat against the lowly Detroit Pistons, the Raptors, they did not look good in that one. So you look at the situation now for Toronto, guys, losers of 5 in a row, 7 of their last 8. Guys continue to be out. This team's going to be thin, shorthanded. 16 games left on this season. Raptors not going to be a part of that play-in mix. They just, it looked like they had a chance, but since the injuries, they have just fallen in terms of going for that final play-in spot. The Raptors appear to be all in on trying to keep their 2024 first-round pick. And that should be the call at this point. I know there were a lot of people saying convey it this year because it is considered a weak draft class. But when you look at the Raptors, the current situation of this team, they have just started their rebuild. They need all the talent, all the help they can get. So they need this pick, especially after a devastating, terrible losing season. You want something at the end of this. You want some light at the end of this tunnel. And the Raptors are right there. So instead of, winning games that in essence won't do you any good at this juncture of the season, try to lose these games as you have been and try to get that 6th worst record and keep their 2024 first round pick. That is what the Raptors should be doing from here on out. And you look at the Raptors, they have made up some significant ground on the Memphis Grizzlies, as it looked like the Raptors were not going to be able to catch up to the Grizzlies at one point. I think the lead at one point, there were like 3.5 games up on the Grizzlies, but a lot of losses later from the Raptors and a couple of Grizzlies wins as of late. The Raptors are now a half a game up on the Grizzlies for the 6th worst record. And Memphis has played one more game than Toronto. So you look at the situation for the Raptors, guys. If they finish this season with sole possession of the 6th worst record in the NBA, Toronto would have a 45.8% chance of keeping its top 6 protected pick. That would be a 37.2% chance of landing a top 4 pick, and then the remaining 8.6% chance of landing the number 6 pick. Now, there is a crazy scenario here. If both the Raptors and Grizzlies are tied for the sixth worst record at the end of the season, then a coin toss would decide which of these two teams finishes with the sixth best odds in the lottery. So this thing could actually come down to a coin flip to determine whether or not the Raptors keep their pick. If the Raptors remain the seventh worst team in the league, Toronto would have a 32% chance of keeping its pick. So their odds drastically decrease if they finish with that seventh worst record. And obviously the Raptors, they owe its top six protected pick to the San Antonio Spurs from the Jakob trade from a season ago. And if that pick is not conveyed this year, the Raptors will owe a top six protected pick to the Spurs in 2025. If that doesn't convey, they will owe one in 2026. So sooner or later, the Raptors will have to pay up the Spurs. Have to pay up to the Spurs. I mean, there is a crazy scenario if the Raptors are a bottom six team this season, the next two seasons, then they would owe 2 second rounders to the Spurs. But that would take a whole lot of luck and a whole lot of misery from this fan base to endure back to back to back bottom six seasons. I mean, that is in the realm of possibilities. But best case scenario for this Raptors team, you know, you look at the pieces that are in place here. This team has shown a lot of good things when guys like Scottie, Quickley, Barrett are all playing together. You know, some young players emerging like a Grady Dick. Best case scenario is that the Raptors, they keep their 2024 first round pick. They are able to add a top six talent. They nail that pick. And then this time next year, the Raptors are in a far better position where if they lose their 2025 first round pick to the Spurs, it won't hurt them as much. But I think right now, just given where the Raptors are, it would hurt them if, after all this, they are unable to keep their pick. They need all the talent they can get. They're at the start of their rebuild. They need to get this pick. And again, winning does you nothing. It's not like the Raptors are right there when it comes to the play-in. They're not. So I'm all on board with this. You know, I've been on Team Tank for a while. I did have that silver lining of hope when the Raptors did make that run of winning 3 games in a row. But since the injuries happened, it was a foregone conclusion that the Raptors, it would be in their best interest to tank for the rest of the season, as they have been, it seems, with some of these losses. I know they've been competitive, but, you know, as long as guys remain out, it's going to be tough for this team to win games. And look, we'll see if they can end up out-tanking the Grizzlies, because like I said, the Grizzlies, they have played one more game, but they do have that slight edge on the Raptors. And if both these teams end with the same record for the sixth worst record at the end of the season, it comes down to a coin flip. So it's not an ideal situation, you know, nor here or there, but that's kind of where the Raptors find themselves in. And again, it just goes back to the fallout of the Jakob trade, whether you've accepted it by now or you're still upset that the Raptors made that trade, as, you know, obviously a big asset here is tied to the San Antonio Spurs, and sooner or later the Raptors are going to have to pay up. So we'll see how this season plays out for Toronto, but yeah, I'm all on board for the Raptors to play the tanking war, beat tank commanders the rest of the way, and try to keep this 2024 first round pick. If Scottie was playing and he was healthy, I mean, opinions would vary, but Scottie is not healthy right now, as he is recovering from hand surgery. He is not 100%, and we don't know if we're going to see Scottie Barnes, you know, before the end of this season. It's unlikely we're not, and we could very well see Scottie again in October. So Scottie Barnes, he did provide an update for the first time since he had that injury, underwent successful surgery, and he has been out indefinitely. The reporter in Detroit asked Scottie if he has a timetable for when he could be back. He was unable to give an answer, so we don't know when Scottie's going to be back at this point. And this is what Scottie did say about his injury, and I quote, "I just think it was just like a weird injury, the way it happened." And then Scottie Barnes did say that he is getting better day by day, which is really, really good news. And he also went on to say, just take some time, but otherwise I'm feeling really good. So that's positive right there. You know, the fact that Scottie's saying that he is progressing day to day, he is feeling good, that suggests that, you know, whatever the timetable is, in all likelihood for next season, he's going to be ready to go, you know, even before that, get involved with obviously a very important offseason. Raptors are going to have a full offseason of, their core of Barrett, Quickley, Barnes. You don't want any setbacks. You don't want guys injured. And then Barnes spoke about seeing his teammates like Quickley, Barrett grow while he's been out. And he said, I'm super excited for them, being able to see them boys play and enjoy it. They have the opportunity out there right now, and they're taking advantage of it, so it's fun. Scottie Barnes, very unfortunate how his season ended. Obviously lived up to the expectations and then some. Raptors fans, myself included, hoping he was going to take that third-year leap. He did. He passed the test with flying colors. He made his first All-Star appearance in what's sure to be many of his career. And we saw, coming out of that All-Star break, this Raptors team, they were starting to potentially turn a corner. Scottie Barnes was playing, focused. He looked like a guy who had matured after that blunder he had leaving the Raptors bench early in that game against the Spurs. RJ Barrett has been consistently solid with this Raptors team. Immanuel Quickley has taken his game to a new level since the All-Star break. We started to see this team come together nicely, and it did look like the Raptors were on pace to at least make it interesting in terms of contending for that final play-in spot. Obviously, injuries derailed all that, but you saw what this team could be and how effective they could be together. So what is a really good positive in all of this is, even though the Raptors season has ended here, very bad, and this is going to be a chore, let's call it for what it is, to get through these last 16 games, at least that there's something to look forward to in the near future. The Raptors have a core. The Raptors have their building block in Scottie. It's about, building this team back up the right way, and obviously there's still a lot more work to be done via the draft, offseason. But at least there's something there, right? There's that nucleus that you can feed off of, build off of. Because if that wasn't there, it would be pretty doom and gloom right now with this Raptors team. But the fact that this nucleus showed you flashes of what they could be, it does give you optimism as fans going into next season. So hopefully for Scottie's sake, he's recovered 100% soon. I stated in the past, there is no reason why the Raptors should bring him back this season. They need to just shut him down. This season's a wrap. This season's, all but over. Scottie, let him come back 110% and ready to go for his fourth season next season. That is the Scottie Barnes update. That Scottie gives his first update since surgery. And it was good to see him in good spirit. I think that's another important takeaway from that interview that he had in Detroit. Scottie smiling in good spirit. And he just wants to be out there. And it just speaks to Barnes loving to play the game. He's the ultimate competitor. And obviously, when he continues to mature, it's just going to help not only his game, but his teammates' game as well. Speaking of Scottie Barnes' teammates, one of his teammates is going to get paid this summer, as Immanuel Quickley is a restricted free agent. It is pretty much a guarantee, a lock, that the Raptors will do everything in their power to bring him back, make him happy with the number, because Quickley's obviously a part of this core. And, you look at Quickley, he has been playing well. With Scottie Barnes out, RJ missing some time, Immanuel Quickley has been consistently putting up some nice numbers. His shooting has gone up. I know he is coming off a poor shooting game against the Pistons, but overall his three-point shot has been looking a lot better. His consistency, racking up the assists, showing that he can be that true point guard. Had that epic 18-assist game against Phoenix, his career high. So Immanuel Quickley, he is fully embracing being the Raptors' starting franchise point guard. And obviously the Raptors are going to bring him back. It's going to come down to what the figure is going to be. So back when the Raptors traded for Immanuel Quickley, Sportsnet's Michael Grange reported right after the trade that Quickley is believed to be looking for a 5-year deal worth approximately $135 million. So that's $27 million per season. But, Immanuel Quickley has been making a good case that he could warrant more. He could definitely earn more. And these last 16 games might not be important for many, but they will be important for Immanuel Quickley, who can show what he can bring to the table with key guys out and how much of an impact, X factor, he can be. And we've seen it in some of these games that the Raptors went down in, putting up a strong showing and against the Phoenix Suns, a game in which the Raptors had no business being in. Helping the Raptors come back against the Blazers. Depending on how he closes out the season, could very well determine what he will be paid. I personally think Quickley could get $30 million a season. That's kind of, the Tyler Hero number, and Grange reported when the trade happened, $27 million per season. Quickley has shown a lot of good things. I think that's going to be bumped up a bit. And I think the Raptors are in a position here where they're going to have to pay Quickley to keep him satisfied. And Quickley, he wants to earn himself a big contract and a big payday and stay here locked up in Toronto. But again, he is trying to make the most out of this opportunity that presents itself, especially with Barnes remaining out. Barrett, we don't know when he's going to be back. It's basically the Immanuel Quickley show. He's the number one option. So we'll see what Immanuel Quickley can continue to bring. But I do think that's going to be the ballpark of his next deal. It's 27 to 30 million seems likely for Quickley. And again, the Raptors want to lock him up. He's a part of this core. That's why they made the trade. He, Barrett, and Barnes, those are the three pillars of this basketball team. So we'll see what that number ultimately is. Obviously, there's Gary Trent Jr., who's going to factor into some of this. Are the Raptors going to want to bring him back? He is an unrestricted free agent. Can Grady Dick finish his season strong enough to show that he can very well replace Gary Trent Jr.'s role on this team of being the team starter in shooting guard? So there's a lot still to play out here over the last 16 games of the season. Kind of the biggest storylines are the Raptors going to keep their pick? How is Quickley going to look? And what's the number going to be? And then, what are the Raptors going to do with Gary Trent Jr.? Can Grady Dick show enough that the Raptors just move on from Gary Trent Jr. and fully commit to Grady, who has been getting starts in these last few games? So there is still a lot to be played here. And then obviously, there's guys who are going to be trying to earn their opportunity, earn their playing time. Ramsey just got locked up to another 10-day contract. He's playing for a contract. You got Jonte Porter, who's looking nice. So these games might not mean anything, but for a lot of the young players on this team, they do. And that's going to be something to look forward to over the last 16 of the Raptors season. That is going to conclude today's show, guys. Going to end it here. Let me know your thoughts on the talking points of today's show. Weigh in with your comments down below. Drop a like on the video. Subscribe to the channel if you are new. The Raptors will be in action once again. A mini 2-game set against Orlando. They'll be at home to take on the Magic Friday night, and then they'll be in Orlando Sunday to wrap up that 2-game set against the Magic as the Toronto Raptors enter their official last stretch of the season. And we will see if they do, in fact, end up keeping their 2024 first-round pick or if it's conveyed to the San Antonio Spurs. Let me know your thoughts, guys, on today's show. Hit a like, subscribe, leave us a 5-star review on Apple, iTunes, and Spotify. That is it for me. It's Luca signing off. Thank you so much for watching. Until next time, stay safe.